Welcome to the Feedback Podcast for third week after a long hiatus. We got Alex in the house. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Good. We got Obi,
What up? Sorry,
and
trying to
we
write.
have all right. How do I introduce? Okay, writer, producer, improviser, comedian, rapper, MC, all around nerd. What am I missing?
You
All
can,
things Ninja Turtles, man.
Yeah.
That's right there.
movie buff, one of the nicest guys I know, and our token white guy for this for this podcast.
I'm ready.
Adam, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we did a couple episodes where we just ranted and discussed what's happening. I mean, it's hard to get away from it, and I honestly had to take a break, as hard as it was, because your feed keeps feeding you all kinds of videos and everybody's it's weird times for a lot of people. So and then you watch the news and it doesn't let up either. So I had to take a break. Did y'all take a break at all, or you're still in it?
I took a break. I took a break over the weekend. Had to get out of town just to kind of, because like you feel your stress building up. So it's like, if I stay in this zone, like I'm just gonna end up making myself sick. So I took a break, got out of town. Like one of my friends' daughter graduated high school, so we went, kind of got the clock out for a little bit, and then come back to reality Monday, and it's been good.
Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't say I took a conscious break per se, but I have been trying to carve out some time in my day where I, play a video game or watch a movie and kind of allow myself to go into a escapist mode for a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely a lot in the feed and a lot happening at once. I feel like as a white dude, I'm trying to reserve space for burnout for people who aren't white, who actually have to live. But I also know that I don't want this to be just a moment for me where I read a bunch of stuff and then forget about it. So I'm trying to figure out how can I, take breaks, but also build staying more informed into my day-to-day life, moving forward.
So are you going around and unfriending people?
I don't know. I haven't, honestly, I don't pay attention to my numbers as much as that. I will say, I mean, I definitely have blocked some people, but I think I blocked more people before the Minneapolis protests began than I have after. My feed is very much people who agree with me. And that's a whole other thing where sometimes I feel like I want to post and put stuff out there in support, but I also want to give other people, especially people who aren't white people, a break. And I don't want to assume that everyone I'm talking to is a white person that I need to educate either. So I don't know. I haven't been on a block spree now because my feed I don't really disagree with many people I see in my feed.
But have you had debates online with other people? Other
I
white
used to
people, I would
debate
say, or
people
actually with
on
anybody.
debates online.
Yeah, like people comment. I mean, you share a post and people comment on it, and it goes back and forth. And at one point, someone goes, "All lives matter," and you go, "Well, fuck you."
I think I purged my friends list enough that I haven't had anyone All Lives Matter or pro-Trump anything that I put out there on any platform. I guess earlier, I mean, sometimes on Twitter, I gotta admit, if I'm in not a great mood and I see some right-wing nut job on Twitter, sometimes I will say something snarky to them. And then I almost immediately regret it because I'm not going to change this person's mind. And now I'm just giving up emotional energy. I could have spent this time reading about these cases or educating myself. And instead I put it into getting into a fight with Joe Bob over here, who I'm never going to change his mind.
Yeah, I started getting sucked into those debates, and I would quickly recognize it. I was like, man, why? You're clearly stuck in this mentality, and you're just trolling the rest of the people in my thread. And I don't want to so me kind of with the people that I just know that are just not going to change their view, I'll pull them aside and I'll just take them into a private message, hey, I'm all for everyone speaking their mind, but if you're not going to offer a solution, then just don't, out of respect, just don't add it into this thread. Like,
Mhm.
it's like I'm all for starting some kind of conversation, but I feel like I'm like, me and like the people I know, we're past the part of like talking about ideologies and stuff. Like, I'm in the part of all get together and talk about a solution. So if like we can all throw ideas what we think could work and what could help. Because if you're just gonna go over here and just say, "Oh no, that's a bad idea. No, that sucks," then you're not really helping. You're just all you're doing is self-serving. You're like, there's no
Yeah.
purpose to you writing this.
So
So
how
yeah.
long has it been? Is it 2 weeks now?
Yeah,
I can't
like
keep track. About 2
going
weeks.
back, going past 2 weeks.
Going past 2 weeks. So I
Yeah, this
mean,
past week it was
I,
2 weeks.
I think that we are at a point where the anger was there. Now it's like, okay, we've protested. We've shared resources. Had a lot of discussions. Oh, Alex just left.
Nah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. And so now we're
Getting
like,
blown up
okay,
here.
what are the solutions? How do we act now? Is it, register to vote, show up at a council meeting, you know, s- s- uh, support Black-owned businesses, donate to all these different organizations. And I think those organizations out there that actually, do great work, that's where the conversation is happening. I think that I don't need to be discussing this over and over and over again, especially with people that I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do your part if you want to do your part, and I'll do mine, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But I think it's like we're done talking. Like the vote was today. Do you know how they turned out at all, or to adopt the other five?
I'm looking to see the result from the vote, but I'm still not finding the actual result, because all the news is like hours ago. So, and I know that the vote wasn't hours ago, like it was pretty recent. So I'm just gonna still keep looking. If
Yeah,
somebody else knows what the
yeah,
result
please.
of the city council for all the police funds and the police brutality issues that were brought up today, because I was at the protest earlier. Like, they started a meeting, I think, like around 11 or a little bit before 11, and then
Mhm.
they took a break around 12, and then they reconvened at 2 again, but they still didn't get to the vote. They were still kind of, each member was going through one by one and kind of giving their thoughts on the issues, and then after
It
that, then
should be
they
a
started
landslide.
and then they let callers call in and give their input. But I had to leave the protest because of another meeting regarding to my work. So
I
I don't
it's
think
know.
I may
just,
have
I don't know
found it
what
here.
I don't know what else needs to be said. Like, if you're a council member and at this point you don't know that that's the right thing to do, and you don't feel that pressure, then you got to go. It's really that
I
simple.
know, I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna keep track of
Oh yeah,
who voted yes and who voted no, and it's kind of, this is
whoever's up
not
for
just like a,
re-election,
yeah.
it's
I,
better
y'all,
do the right thing.
I think maybe I found it on KXAN. Correct me if I'm wrong here. And sorry, I did want to weigh in real quick on the actions moving forward. Like, back, I think that, like I said, most of the people that I was going to argue with aren't Facebook friends with me before this anyway. But I think that moving forward, instead of putting all that energy into those, it is like when this all first started, I wanted to give away as much money as I could. Now I'm starting to think, how much money should I take off each paycheck moving forward? I think that just turning it protests, I think that pressure needs to stay there. That's my 2 cents.
No,
But
I think that we shouldn't we shouldn't let off the gas at all.
yes,
They should go through all the way to the elections.
absolutely.
I really believe that. I really believe that. I'm talking about trying to uh, have conversations online. It's like, yeah,
I think there's like a deeper, it's like the having conversations. So I just read this New York Times thing today that said that public attitudes on Black Lives Matter have changed more in the past 2 weeks than in the past 2 years.
Yeah,
Really?
I agree with. I would agree with that 100%.
I think the ground is shrinking for a lot of the people who are a lot of the All Lives Matter Trump people. The ground is shrinking, and I mean, I hope that continues. I think my concern now is not, am I going to get into an argument with some All Lives Matter person on Facebook? It's, are the other like white liberals that I know gonna remember to keep doing stuff, you know? And how do we put that on ourselves?
Check this out. I saw this thing this morning. I laughed. You know how every once in a while, like celebrities get together and they do this highly produced video, like black and white, and it's like it's the same message over and over again. That's like just cut, right? So I saw one this morning that had it was like Aaron Paul and a bunch of other celebrities, and they were like, "I will take responsibility. I will take responsibility. I will take responsibility. Black people are getting slaughtered in the streets. I will take responsibility." I'm like, shut the fuck up. Honestly. Because I'd rather you either be out there at the protest, or even if you want to, virtue signal and make yourself feel better and post a screenshot of the receipt from a $1,000 or $1 million donation to whatever organization. I'd rather see that than a 2-minute video of you going, "I will take responsibility." That's just I don't know. It doesn't help, is what I'm saying.
This gesture too, I don't know why this serious face with the hands together like this.
That was Aaron Paul. That's what stuck out.
Fake.
I had to stop after that.
It stuck out to me too.
It was hard to watch after he went. He took a long pause.
Yeah, because it seems like a dramatic monologue. It doesn't seem like they're talking about the real world.
Right.
I don't know. That just it was more comical to me, because I'm like, these fuckers have no idea. Their agent probably told them, "Hey, just do this thing. We'll produce it. It will take 1.5 minutes. Put it on Twitter." And yes, they got roasted on Twitter because of that video. I totally get it, though. I totally get it. Do something. Don't just, be about it. Do something about it.
Well, it's almost like that what Gal Gadot and all like the
that
like
one.
celebrities singing that Imagine song. I'm like, when it gets to the part where it's Imagine no possessions, I'm like, come on, like y'all can't do that. like that video was so out of touch for me. Like all the people that were in that video, like all the things that song says imagine, like these guys don't ever have to imagine life without it, because they can just have it whenever they want.
Exactly.
And in abundance too. So that whenever celebrities do stuff like post videos and stuff like that, like, it's kind of like we talked about, or I talked about, like whenever for posting on social media, like I've done very little in the last month, even more than that, because I'll start typing something, or I'll respond to somebody's, post or something like that regarding an issue, and I'm going at it, keyboard warrior, man, just full force.
Oh, really?
And I look at it, and I literally just like, all right, I got it out, delete, move on. Like it's just like, because I sit there and think like, why am I posting this? What is my motivation behind this? And what are the benefits that are going to come out of this? Like,
what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah. What am I trying to accomplish? If I'm just trying to just rant at somebody's opinion, then I mean, opinions are based on fallacy. Like it's not based on any fact. It's somebody's like opinion of, or their thought of something that they've experienced. It's not something that's actual fact. It's like, like I like to cut the crust off my bread before I eat it.
How dare you? How dare
I'm just saying, yeah. I mean, like I could post something literally just like that.
You Nazi motherfucker.
Yeah, somebody will go crazy about it. So I just don't even.
Hitler did the same thing.
I don't like cutting the crust off my bread. I was just reaching for something, but yeah, it's just I'll get it out, and it's almost like a diary for me. Like I'll just kind of just type out my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like my release, it's like kind of like, like I got it out. All right, done. Like I don't like, cause then it just turns into a spiral, and it just.
No, you don't want to go down You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. With
Yeah.
people
That
online.
said, this helps if you argue. Like, I wish there was some study, that said, like, if you get into an argument with a racist on Facebook, you're helping the world. It's been proven.
Every time you argue with the racist, you burn 10 calories. Like, what?
Yeah, it's good for the environment or some shit.
Crazy, yeah.
We plant a tree for
But
every life you
it's like
get.
at this rate, I could burn all my fat off. Hold on a second. Like, no.
Quarantine weight gone.
Yeah. Look, they funded crazier studies, so I'm not. Hey, it's probably out there.
Did you see? Okay, so as of 8:30 p.m., according to KXAN, it says after 6 hours, the council voted unanimously to approve.
To approve what? You froze.
95 and
Did he
96
freeze?
pass unanimously.
Yeah, you froze just now.
Wait, you froze right at the
They approve what?
Am I
And you
back?
froze. Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
you're back.
Okay, they voted 100% unanimous to approve 95 and 96.
Nice.
So that
Okay,
did
which
happen.
were what?
I believe 95 was, I could get these mixed up, but I think 95 was about different force measures they're not allowed to employ, banning chokeholds.
Is it the can't wait measures? The other 5?
Yeah, I think I would have to look it up. I
Yeah,
don't want to
because
get
I think it's like the stuff they could use during protests, like the beanbags and the chokehold. What is it? Let me look. I just was reading it.
And the other one is it the defund the police too? Is that one of them?
96 is the money, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it say about
That's
how much?
happening. That's happening countrywide and like by the millions of dollars too. Like I've seen, I think like New York, was it NYPD is like losing, it's like
Good.
quarter of a billion.
See, okay.
Like I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but what was crazy is that people thought that when you said defund the police, it meant you get rid of the police.
It's the slogan. Everybody I've talked to just does not like the slogan. Like when you say defund the police or something, or abolish the police, it sounds like, oh, we're gonna have a city with no police at all. Like, but when you read it, because this happened with me and my other friend. We were in a car and we were both talking about how before we even read what the policy was, we're like, no, that doesn't even sound like the right approach. Like, why would you do this and this? And then we went through and actually read it and we're like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of reasonable. But why did they name it this? Like, you should have named it like reform police or something. That could be the hash. But it's like, get over it. It's like just get over the hashtag of what it is and just read it and go over it. Because if you start seeing people just kind of like straight out coming like, oh, imagine I saw one friend says, if we're in a city where you're removing the police, your wife is gonna get raped, your son's gonna get killed, and all this. Like, you didn't even take the time to read this. Like, read what it is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like now it's a trap. Like, if you come out and you're just kind of bashing it right out the gate, and you're talking all this nonsense, and there's never gonna be any police in my neighborhood if I have to go live to a gated community and all this stuff. It was like, relax, take a breath. The police are still gonna be here. They're just adjusting what their roles are. That's it.
The obstacle is you're trying to get people to read.
Yeah,
that's the operative word here. Read.
I know.
Read and defund is pretty. It's not like abolish. Defund, just like you defund Planned Parenthood. They're still around.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's all been defunded in the past. I guess that's just that's the term they use. So.
Well, the United States military well has been downsized and defunded. Like, I mean, the past administration started that. It's like I think
you defund the military. You defund.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was. Yeah, I think he started that in like 2009, 2010, because of the Obama administration. Like his whole purpose was to get us out.
Yeah.
Like that was his whole thing. So that's whenever it started. So, because I remember I was part of those cuts, if you will, of I wanted to re-up, but then you had to go through a certain number of looks that they look at your portfolio, so to speak, and you had like up to 5 looks, and I was on my 4th, and I'm like, man, I just got here. Like, I was, 3.5, 4 years in, and I was like, and at that point I was like, well, if I'm on my last look, it doesn't look good that I'm going to be able to re-enlist. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to, I'll take my football and go home, I guess. So
Yeah, I mean, so what have you got? So you're saying, Adam, that to distract yourself, you're playing video games, watching movies, and you're a big. It's just man, we all nerds here. Yes,
Yeah.
no, we all
Oh
agree.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Just want to put it out there in case you don't know us. We are huge nerds. Oh, nice, thumbs up.
Yeah. Mhm.
What you been playing lately?
Aside, or what do you got to say back?
Huh?
What were you got to say?
No, I was going to ask Adam what he's been playing, since he said he's been playing video games to distract himself from all this craziness.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I've been like intermittently, because I don't even know if distract is the right word. It's just that I'm trying to like,
Live.
well, yeah, but I also know that I don't know. I have a shit ton of privilege, and I want to use that. So it's more that I'm trying to figure out what does like my normal life look like, where, um, how much time do I want to invest into, like, I don't know. Basically, how do I
Speaking out.
yeah, and like compartmentalizing my life and my day. I'm speaking out on social media. I'm trying to educate myself so that I'm not speaking out of my ass, and I'm trying to get enough sleep and downtime so that I'm not a grumpy low blood sugar asshole who's gonna make things worse.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've had like two separate conversations with two different friends about this. Just that like, because I feel like all of us, we all have to be conscious and like take a mental break when we need to, when you kind of
Sure.
are so invested in something, even though it's a good cause and stuff, but you don't want to over stress yourself or saturate where everything just starts looking exactly the same. Where
Mhm.
like so, but then at the same time, you don't want to like you want to be conscious of what you're posting, because like I had one friend, on Sunday, that was when they had the big protest here in
Big
Austin, and
rally
they're
at
at Houston
HQ.
Tilson. And
Yeah.
photos from that protest went viral like all across. I've seen it pretty much on every news outlet, being shared everywhere. And I had one friend, he felt like he was this asshole because he was out on Lake Austin boating all day long, and he was sharing all these, like he didn't have any service, but he's posting all this stuff while everybody else on his whole timeline is posting photos from the protests and sending out all these positive messages. And he was just like, damn, I look like the most shallowest person ever because I'm here posting lake photos,
I'm on the lake.
but I'm supportive of this cause. So it's just like, it's this fine line I think people are trying to walk, where I'm supportive, I'm for this cause, but I also need like, because he did it because he just needed a clock out, because he's been in it kind of talking to all his whole network all week long. He's like, and then he had the opportunity, hey, if you want to just take a break and kind of digress a little bit, you could come to the lake, and he did it. And then it kind of sends the wrong message that
Well,
you're insensitive or something.
Did he share pictures of himself at the lake?
Yeah, he
That was not
shared it all.
necessary. He could have just
Yeah,
enjoyed it and not say shit.
yeah, you could have like
He probably got blasted for doing that.
it's that whole look at me kind of culture, kind of
Yeah,
like,
but
hey,
be smart
I'm at
about
the,
it.
but yeah, but at the same time, it's like a lot of you can still enjoy yourself at the lake without sending that photo.
Take
You
the
know how
picture
to
and post it like 3
or
months from now.
well, you can do it, or
Yeah.
like
I
our
mean,
friends.
seriously.
Yeah.
We used to take photos just so we could look at them ourselves in a few years.
Yep, remember that?
Yeah,
Remember those times?
You have to take him to photo service and wait
Yeah.
for a few days to get him back, and you put him in the envelope and you put it in the
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
box. And
There
God,
you go.
and years later, you're like, oh shit, I remember I did this.
Man.
Yep.
But the kids,
Don't use
the people growing up today don't understand that. Wait, you have to wait to put a photo up? No, I can't.
Yep,
That's too long.
I had boxes and maybe like 10 boxes of photos of my entire family that we had it was just in a box, and we were like, hey, we need to go through all those, and we paid some company to digitize a bunch of them and then put them on Google Photos so everybody can see them. I mean, I'm still surprised that people go and print photos anymore, because you're like, no, you just look at it on your phone or whatever and then be done with it. So we're dating ourselves here. Like, yeah, remember that time we used to go to
I gotta say though,
Yeah,
my
kinda.
parents are way into the like digital photo frame with the little slideshow.
yes.
I don't like the way it looks. I would rather
It's
print
creepy,
off
man.
a
Those
picture.
are creepy.
You think it's creepy?
looks. It just I don't know. I'm like I have screens all around me. If this is a photo, make it pure and simple, just a printing. You know, I don't need
like
it
a photo
to also
album
be
that you
another
turn
screen.
pages on.
Yeah, or just
my
a
mom
single
has tons
photo
of
in a
those.
frame. I don't know.
You can sit down with your kids or your grandkids, like, oh, let's flip some pictures. This is your dad when he was the baby, blah 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 blah. Instead of, all right, let me click on here real quick.
Yeah. Here's the
I don't
Google
know.
Drive link.
I got one of those. I'm not mad at it, but I think I do like having it all digital. Yeah, and have the data on it too. Having the data on, my dad was big about that. It's like, look, all the pictures I take have the data on it because one, I forget shit, and two, really puts things in perspective. Yeah, remember in 1993 when we went to blah blah blah. Yeah, now I know. There's no argument. People argue about that shit. Oh yeah. But yeah, I started. So I have my Xbox, the original Xbox from 2002.
Yeah.
Yes.
That big giant brick.
Yep. It weighs. That shit weighs, man. And you know what? I was able to get. I found wireless controllers for it because it was all wired back then. And I have the reason why I bought the Xbox, the first Xbox, was Jet Set Radio Future. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the game.
No.
Are you, Obi? Never heard of it? One of the best video game soundtracks ever made. And it's a bunch of kids on roller skates that go around the city and put graffitis and they dance, and the soundtrack is dope, and you get chased by the cops and you grind everywhere on poles, on walls. It's a lot of fun. And it's been on my mind for a while because this whole quarantine time, I've been playing some of the soundtrack to my son, and it's in his head all the time. And he sings it and everything. And then I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to pull it out and play it. And yeah, it's one of those games that you can play over and over again and never gets old.
Mm-hmm.
You never get old.
Wait,
what's that?
Are you still counting this as quarantine time?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, really? Like, because I thought Texas is like pretty much open now.
Officially, the stay-at-home order goes till the 15th, but nobody gives a shit.
I will just say, I'm ignoring what Texas is telling me right now.
It's so confusing. Nobody knows. The mayor says something. The governor says something.
Well, I mean, Texas just hit like a record high. I'm still counting it as quarantine time too.
Yeah, we spiked. What was it that just came out? Was it 300 new cases in Austin?
I heard it was higher than that. I thought it was like over 1,000, but I could be wrong.
Here, I need to look.
Wait, so are you going out without a mask now?
We are.
I've been wearing my mask everywhere. The moment I step out of my house, like I'm in mask mode. And sometimes glove mode, like if I'm at HEB or something, I need to touch a lot of stuff. I'm in glove mode at the same time with my mask.
Yeah, the store's definitely gloves on.
Yeah, but one thing I've been like, I guess I wasn't really aware of was now people are being more conscious of covering their eyes. I didn't know like you could
thing now.
Yeah, you could contract coronavirus through your eyes. I didn't really.
Well, if you rub your face, but I didn't know the eyes was the thing.
Well, yeah, if it's, like, let's say somebody near you has it and they cough, right? And they don't cover their cough in some form or fashion, then like the droplets could float in the air. And if you were to walk into it, they could touch your eyes. And obviously the mucous membrane in your eyes is also like your nose or your mouth for that matter.
Yeah.
So would my glasses be enough, or do I need to get something else that's like completely secured around my eye?
You asking Alex?
I mean, I would say your glasses. I mean, your glasses aren't completely covering your eyes, but it's better than nothing in front of your face.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean. So, but I mean that's just a little I've read from like the CDC or the World Health Organization. But I mean, all the info that they put out changes. Like it just like the World Health Organization. What was it? I read Saturday or Sunday is saying that people now that have it, but are asymptomatic.
Oh, the asymptomatic.
That's a rare thing.
That you can't either pass it or contract it from somebody that's asymptomatic.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like it can happen, but it's like very rare,
So
which is different from when they first came out.
So it's like a best case scenario to get tested, realize you have it, but are asymptomatic and can't transmit it. And at that point, you're kind of all clear. Or is that, I don't want to
I don't know,
misunderstand
because
this and
then
say something
Fauci
wrong.
came out and said it was.
I don't know.
True,
Whatever
right?
I just know whatever they said, they walked it back. They're like, that's incorrect now.
Yeah.
Like, because I
Yeah,
think it was supposed to be met as good news, and then they realized, no, this is not really correct. They had to bring it all back again.
I'm
I mean,
getting tested tomorrow because they the city asked people who'd been at protest to go, and they're doing it free. So I'm gonna go do a drive-through tomorrow at like 10:30. I wanted to
wait
go
like
to a
3
protest
hours.
earlier today, but me and my girlfriend, we've been isolating, but we woke up with sore throats. Probably nothing. It's probably dust in the house, but we've had kind of sore, scratchy throats, so we stayed in today. But hopefully tomorrow we get it all clear.
Oh, yep, man, so coincidental. Like, I just got off of another Zoom call right before this, and my coworker said that she went through the drive-through testing and went by super smoothly, really fast, and
It
she'll
was
get the
fast?
result back. And yeah, but there was a
Wow, I
lot,
thought
like a
it'd be
long
long
line
as
of.
hell.
Yeah, there was, but they had it really organized, and so I'm definitely going to get tested this coming week for sure. So,
What about the water? There's no Barton Springs about to reopen. I was at the one of the trails off the 360 in Mopac, and there was a lot of people there Saturday morning or afternoon. Anyway, and so and you walking. I mean, the trail is only this wide, right? So you're walking past people all the time, and then people are in the water. And when you're in the water, you can, people do all kinds of shit in the water, literally. And then next thing you know, you're coughing in the water, and then river goes downstream, and then you're at the end, and then I don't know if that's a thing or not.
I don't want to swim with strangers. I'd be curious to know what effect chlorine has on the virus. But I wouldn't swim in a natural spring.
Well, if chlorine had an effect, they would have reopened pools by now.
Yeah,
but they
just don't know because
water parks are open though. Water parks
are
been open.
Schlitterbahn open?
I think they did.
Water parks are
like
open.
In May.
Yeah, water parks are open, and I think like Schlitterbahn's starting this weekend. But it's like you have to like reserve a spot, like you have to reserve a time to get to a water park. And then I think some water parks are, you could reserve a time, but there's not like a time limit on when you're there, which I don't know how they control the occupancy.
You had 2 hours to.
And on top of.
Yeah, I don't know how you control the occupancy if you're only limited to 20%, or even 50%.
But on top of that, all the casinos in Vegas are back open again. Yeah. I think right now that will be the biggest test to see how mass crowds will.
Vegas
for business that will be like the protests obviously is going to be the real big test to see how everything spikes, but for a business to operate and kind of see if it could go past like 25%, 50%, or just full on 100%, like pretty much keep an eye on Vegas and see how it does.
Or you know what's weird? You take a protest like not a protest, but like a gathering of a huge group of people, like at HT on Sunday, and you're like, that's the concert.
Yeah,
like that could be a little festival right there.
That's basically it's basically like the test run for like Coachella.
Well, Coachella's gone.
Well, but I'm saying, but like that for right now, pretend like that gathering was Coachella.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what happens. Basically, it's almost like an unofficial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
dry run.
I see that. But then again, you want to take that liability? Like if you're ACL now,
I know nobody, but nobody. It's almost like the silver lining for companies to see like let's see what the fallout from if it really spikes that much. I honestly I honestly don't think there's going to be this massive spike. I really don't. I think people might get it, but I don't think people are going to get sick from it. If that makes sense.
When the fall comes around. October, November, second wave. No Thanksgiving, no Christmas, no New Year's Eve.
No,
I'll see
I
you
feel
next
like
year.
you'll know. I feel like if there is going to be some kind of spike, you'll know by July that we were in a second wave of stuff. Because if it takes if there's like a 2 week incubation period, and we've just went through 2 weeks of George Floyd protests from mass, like millions of people all gathering together, by July we would know who is severely sick. But I mean, people could have it, but I don't think the mass public is all gonna be. I just don't
No,
think so.
I don't know of a country that had to go back to quarantine after opening up. I'm sure it's probably happened. I don't know where though, but mostly like in Europe, they're just like, all right, everything opens back up, and they actually the curve went down.
Yeah, because look at what was the country, Sweden, that's been open the
Yes.
entire
Yeah,
time.
Yeah,
Like
Stockholm was the city. Stockholm,
they
Sweden. They just kept everything open.
But
yeah, like
France got hit pretty bad, and they're as of maybe a few weeks ago, they started reopening the country, and they were like by region, with Paris being the last one to really open back. And now they're at everything is open, and they've actually their curve went down. Like they had, I think they recorded maybe 100 cases or something like that, but some very low number compared to what it was just a month ago, 2 months ago.
I feel
But
like
you need to turn your
one-
mic up a little bit, Adam.
Oh, me? Yeah, I got you. One thing with Sweden, though, I will say is that we are Americans, not Swedes, and I think Swedes are a lot more socially minded and didn't need as much instruction. I think like that's such an isolated kind of control group that like Swedish people, I think, were kind of self-policing in a way when it came to that, and they didn't need it in the same way that a country as big as the U.S. does.
yeah.
I also think the spikes that we have seen, like the spikes that we saw this week, are definitely, I think, from Memorial Day when everyone went out. And so I'm really curious about the protests because like I was at that HT protest, and it was the closest I've been packed in with people for months, even before quarantine started. But
Yeah.
those people were all sorry, y'all. People were all handing out masks,
Yeah.
hand sanitizer, and the people who went out, to party on Memorial Day, they were not
That's
being responsible about it. So it's a difference
that
there.
is a major difference. Like when I was at the protest, like the majority, I would say 90%, if not higher, were in masks, and like I would see people with hand sanitizer throughout the crowd. It's like the protests didn't forget that COVID is happening, but it's just like it just is unfortunate that this is a serious matter that we need to address. Like it's worth the risk at this point. So
I really wrestle with that personally because there's all this evidence that COVID is hitting basically Black and minority communities harder and hurting people more. And so I definitely wrestled with what is my utility as a white body at a protest to help versus what if I'm a carrier and what if I get people sick. And I think I wrestled with that, but I just ultimately decided if you're at a protest, you are you're taking a risk to be there.
If you're really racist, then you catch the Rona and you go to a protest and you cough on people.
Do you know there was a study that white supremacist groups were actually emailing each other about like coughing into spray bottles and trying to do attacks like that?
I was kidding. I didn't.
I know, but the people are the world is that bad that your joke is someone else's terrible idea.
Wow,
holy shit!
That's very impressive, and that thought crossed your mind that you didn't want to like affect the Black community just by your supporting, but I commend you for still coming out. It was important because I'm
glad I did.
I wrestled with it like for a good, I would say 2 days before I actually went to the protest, because I just got over being hospitalized for 1 month, in April. I was sick. I had pneumonia and on top of my already weakened immune system for 1 month. And ever since I got out of the hospital, I was like dead set. I'm not going anywhere because I don't want to go through that again. But then the Ahmed Arbery thing happened, and that was extremely like emotional for me to like kind of see and kind of witness that whole thing. And then, bam! 2 weeks later, George Floyd happened, and I just felt like I hit like this. That one just kind of I hit like this breaking point. I'm like, it's like I was like, and I noticed that I was doing something. I was like, I'm spending this energy. I'm like, the few times I'll leave my house, I'll go to HB to go grab some bread or something. Like, I took a risk to just go and do that. Like, and that's not that important to do. Like, I rather, if I'm gonna take the risk of leaving this house, I'd rather leave and do it for something important. If I get COVID with that, if I get COVID by going to a protest because I want to like help protect people's lives, and that's the thing that kind of is my downfall. Like, I'll be at peace with that. I made peace with that mentally. I don't want it to be, but I just felt like this was just too big to ignore, and I felt like if myself being down there could kind of make this message get across more, or if I could do anything, like just to make sure that this doesn't just pass by like it's like another story of the moment, and then in 3 days we're talking about something else that maybe, I don't know. Trump is like he's the king of diversion. He could do something else, fire some stupid tweet just to get people off this topic altogether. I didn't want it to go like that, so I felt like I had to go.
I'll be selfish, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of people. We want you to stick around, Obi.
Yeah, I know.
Don't, it's honorable, and thank you, but we love you, so don't put yourself in risk either.
I want to say also,
let the healthy motherfuckers go and protest, but don't put yourself in. And it's great, but
I respect that thinking too so much, Obi, and that's kind of like that's kind of ultimately, I mean, I saw black friends online saying, hey, I have asthma, but I'm gonna go, and I was like, man, I don't have any underlying conditions here. I've been in isolation. I'm not gonna expose people. I cannot in good conscience sit this out. So your train of thought, I totally respect, but also, it's okay to guilt white people who don't have asthma into getting their asses out there too.
It was like, yo, you're in the gym all the time. You have a perfect body to kind of go through this protest. We should tag each other out.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Because it's gonna have to go on for a while, and it's that whole figuring out how does it fall into the routine sort of thing. And for me, like I went to a protest a week before HT, then I went to HT. Last few days I feel a little scratchy in the throat, so I'm taking a test. Hopefully I'll get the all clear, and then I'll go. And then that's just kind of like basically going to be the pattern from here on out. Go to a protest, give it a few days, see how I feel. If I feel healthy, go to another one. Because ideally, what you're saying back, the protest should go up until Election Day. We should have people out in the streets. And it can't be every single person out in the streets every day. But if we take shifts, like you're saying, if we tag each other out, we can all go get tested. We can all be safe, and there can be people in the streets every day.
So far, I'm saying that's the mentality. Like I see, sometimes when I've been to the protest, I've been to the protest about 3 days or 4 days. But it's like you go like. Sometimes I see the same faces, but then kind of we can like outlast the police force. Like there's so many more people that can kind of, I can make it on Thursday, but like I have other stuff to do, like, and I can make it next week again. Like we can keep this going all the way up until Election Day. We really can.
I hope people don't give up. I really do.
And I will also just say, not to be like hyper militant here, but say we elect someone who's not Trump, God willing, should still keep protesting to hold, even if we get rid of the evil dictator, we should still probably be protesting just to make sure whoever is in there doesn't think they get a all clear for not being a Republican.
Yeah. Well, let's go politics then. How you guys feel about
Oh yeah. You asked me about video games earlier. Which
No,
I
that's
can
fine. I,
still-
I don't care anymore. We're just talking. Who cares? We don't have an agenda. By the way, for those who don't know, usually we have an agenda on the podcast, but I just invite friends. Someone's mic is messing up.
That's me. I'm gonna mute myself and fix.
All right. Usually we have a whole agenda on this podcast, but I thought that, hey, let's just turn the mics on and shoot the shit and see where that goes. And so far it's working out, but we don't have to talk about everything.
No, but did you see this story about the NASCAR driver?
This motherfucker
Yeah,
never
retired.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking cares.
I feel like I feel like that is the hilarious story of the day. Like,
yes,
this guy retired.
I'm not gonna
from
race
NASCAR.
anymore, dude.
I don't like the
never
direction
won.
NASCAR's going. And then Twitter goes and looks up his history. He's 0-31. You've never even won anything. Like,
we're not gonna miss you.
Yeah,
fucker.
That's why he likes the
Yeah.
Confederacy.
and then NASCAR trolls him back and we're like, we had to Google you to find out who you were. Like, who are you?
You have a car? Who's the sponsor?
You know what that moment is like? You know, like in those like 90s teen movies where somebody tries to slow clap
And then nobody follows.
and it's so awkward. And that's what he did. He's like the real life slow clap.
Oh my gosh.
That was bad.
Yeah, that was interesting to see. Like, I mean, one, I don't know why you would want to fly the flag of a losing side, but hey,
Hey,
you got
people still-
a
hey, people
0
still
for 31
reenact this shit.
record.
People still reenact this shit.
Hey, there's Cleveland Browns fans flying their flag, so
Damn.
I guess
No, but
I
I
guess
mean-
I get it.
But what's interesting to me is that now that we've reached this threshold where this is the main conversation that's happening, this is the narrative, this is what's happening all over the world, and I feel like now everybody's going, oh shit, we have to do everything, take down the statues, and then we have to wear these African scarves and kneel at Congress, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
That's
weird to
yeah,
me.
that's the thing. Like, I guess maybe I might be in the minority thought process, but I don't really think we should remove those statues or monuments, because like that's history. That's how if we keep it, that's how we know not to repeat it.
Yeah,
Like, that's the same way like how there's concentration camps still in Germany. I've actually toured that. And when
That's
I
what I'm
toured
saying.
it's a very sad, depressing thing to go through, and you realize how did these people like let this happen? We should never repeat this like ever again. That's why you keep. They didn't just go and burn this place down, but they kept it as a reminder not to repeat it again. So if we start removing all these bad things in our history, like, who's to say like decades from now that somebody's not going to try to repeat that? Like, hey, I got an idea. We should make black people do all this work again. Like, hey, I could have swore I read about this. No, they burned all those books. They don't even know about it anymore.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I don't want to say I'm on the fence on that. I mean, yeah, I just don't think getting rid of them gets rid of the real issue. Like,
Exactly.
It's like it doesn't change anything. Like, okay,
No,
we
it
get
makes
rid
you
of a
feel
statue.
good. It just makes you feel good.
We get rid of a statue, but what change is really happening other than the fact you don't have to look at a statue that you don't even know who the hell that guy was until you saw the post of what the statue was removed anyway. You didn't even probably know that statue was even there.
Yeah.
Until it was removed.
But
So-
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just it to me, kind of piggybacking off Obi, like the cliche saying that everybody always says, like, if you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
I don't think it's black
it's
people
true.
asking to do that either.
But
I don't think black people
just,
are going, take out the statues, rename all the schools, rename all the streets.
I think it's an extreme that they feel like they're trying to get ahead of something that they really don't need to, because it's ignoring the real issue that they really need to tackle. And they're like, oh, hey, here's this good gesture, and here that should be enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just gonna wait and see if it's enough. And when it's not enough, like, well, we did this for you, we did that, and like, then
exactly.
it's kind of like, somebody keeping track of keeping track on the good deeds that they've done for you, and then when you mess up, the one time you mess up, They're like, oh, well, I did this and this and this for you, and you messed, blah, blah. You know, like it's like keeping tabs, and it's just, I don't know. I don't fully agree with getting rid of those monuments for the simple fact that you, yeah, I mean, the history of it, this is part of our country's DNA. I mean,
you're not, and I had something to this, and Adam, you can close out. I think it's we're getting rid of teachable moments. When you start erasing things, like if you take down, Christopher Columbus statue, and you could have you could be. I said that because I'm a dad, and you can walk up to that and tell your kid, look, this is Christopher Columbus. This is what he did. This is how fucked up it was. Blah blah blah. This is a good teachable moment. Just like you get rid of the Cosby Show, and now you can't even tell the next generation, yo, there was this guy who was one of the funniest comics, and it turned out to be a serial rapist, but he had the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show was positive, and here it is. Blah blah blah. And so you're getting rid of all of these, like trying to erase the past,
like
trying to rewrite history.
Teachable moments.
You're trying to rewrite history and get rid of evidence and things that we could look up and discuss. And I think more about the next generation. What they're not gonna live in a world where all the bad things are gone and there's only good people around just because you took down a statue. That's not the reality.
Mm.
I think okay. There's a couple. I have thoughts. First of all, I will say
good. You have thoughts.
I have thoughts. I would say, first of all, I would say I'm pro taking down Confederate statues, but I do also think that what y'all are saying is super interesting in terms of the tallying. So I'm not as worried that it will remove a ability to teach history or that we'll forget it, because I mean, I know a lot of this, we all taught this history, but that doesn't mean we've seen these statues in person. We didn't learn it from the statue, we learned it from books and from other
that's
people.
Where it starts.
That's true.
And also I will say the difference with concentration camps and statues is concentration camp is a thing of horror to behold, whereas a statue makes something look cool. So there is kind of that difference too. In terms of art, like the Cosby Show, in terms of artists who do terrible things but create value, that is, I think, a separate conversation. It's really difficult to have, but I do, I don't know, for better or for worse, I do try to see that most art has some value, and that most art and good things created by people who have done bad things on a spectrum. What Cosby did being on a very extreme, terrible end of that spectrum.
Sure.
But in terms of the Confederate statues, I mean, I personally am like, fuck them, take them down. But I do see what you're saying about getting the woke points and not addressing what's really there. And I do think that there is definitely this, I think that also when white people especially are confronted with this feeling of like, hey, you've kind of been in charge of this thing for a long time, where a lot of that was kind of evil. I think when white people hear that, they panic and they're like, okay, what can I do? And I do think that tearing down the statue is one of those things. And you're right. It's easy to do that. It's easy to project it than it is to look within and say, instead of, tearing down a statue, to ask yourself, man, have I read a book written by a black person in the last 2 years? Or, man, do I talk to black people about race issues? Or do I just talk to my white friends about it? I think those are the uncomfortable questions. But I think you can have it both ways. I think ideally,
I agree with that completely.
Yeah,
because it's like people like to take the easy route. Like with the statue is an easy thing to like. I see it, I can take it down. I did my due diligence. Kind of like, it's like it's what Trump did with his photo op thing and using the military kind of thing. Like, oh, I see looting. I have this army. I can make them attack. I could do that, and this whole issue will be over with. No, you need to address this racial issue. The thing that you're struggling to really get a grasp on. That's the issue. This looting will go away if you address that issue. Like,
yeah, and we love images. We especially love images of statues being torn down. And let me just say again, I think we can have it both ways. I think white people should be more introspective and also take the statues down. I say do both. But I do also think, yeah, like you think even the statue of Saddam coming down in Iraq, how that was used.
I was just thinking just that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because like that was used as a tool to tell the American people, hey, you're doing the right thing. And then the American kind of imperial machine in Iraq did not stop, but we felt better about it. So it's kind of like if we have
a lot of people thought it was the end of that war.
Exactly. And I think I see what you're saying about statues coming down, worrying that white liberals see it as the end of this war.
You know, my fear is that that's where it starts. We don't take statues down. Yeah, go white people. We did our thing. And then that's not enough. Or they're like, oh, what else can we do? Oh, you know, we'll revise the history books that we use in class and say that, you know, slavery was an economic thing. It wasn't about black people being
but
racist.
the textbooks already say that in Texas.
No,
they're already
exactly.
lying.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like you're rewriting history, and I don't think not everybody has that capacity of introspection either. I think as a, you know, normal person, you would think, yeah, I can actually look at myself in the mirror and have these and ask myself these hard questions and be able to articulate them with anybody and without getting emotional, without getting angry or anything like that. But I don't think that's most people. I really don't. If you talk about there's certain topics that are still uncomfortable to this day, and this is a big one. You know, the worst thing you can tell a white person is say they're racist. You know, and so they're just looking for brownie points that they can go, oh yeah, we did this, by the way, this is good, right? This is good. All right, racism is over. Yay. I think that's what they're looking for, but that's not that's not realistic. So I think, I mean, maybe be selective with your statues. Have like a range of this guy was really horrible, but this guy was okay, because, you know, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm just saying that I'm afraid that that's where it starts, and then the rest is just trying to get brownie points.
Yeah. I totally see what you're saying there, and again, I think the we will survive as smart people who are trying to be better with or without those statues there. I mean. Yeah. But that's just, you know, that's my perspective, and I absolutely see what y'all are saying. I know when I went to Lockhart for some barbecue last year, there's a Confederate monument in the town square, and I saw it, and I was just like, why the fuck is this thing here in 2019? But
even though I feel that it's a good teachable moment, like I still do agree with the removing the Confederate flags, like I just think it sends a really horrible message in the country. Like I'm kudos to NASCAR for banning it, but I don't understand people that fly that flag.
But does the intention? How do you know that was their intention? That's been kind of like my dilemma with you know, big organizations and companies, you know, stepping up and going, oh yeah, there's not gonna be Call of Duty today because we're gonna black out in support of Black Lives Matter, or yeah, we're gonna have, like, Netflix just started a playlist of black shows, and you have to. Do you care about the attention? And if you do you think they're doing it because, oh yeah, we can't be tone deaf, we have to say something, do something, we're fucking Netflix, you know, or we're IGN, or we whoever, we need to say something, and then whoever's not saying anything is probably going to lose some business, so I have to say something. Now, do you look at it and go, yeah, well, they did something, the reasoning or the intention doesn't matter as long as they did it?
Yeah, but then there's some people out there that don't need to be, like, they do say something and they don't need to be saying something. Like who was it? The New York Knicks owner, James Dolan, put out some statement that a 5-year-old probably could have wrote about this whole movement. You know, it just didn't seem genuine. Didn't, you know, recognize Black Lives Matter. Didn't recognize, you know, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, all these other people, black people that have been killed. It was just like this, you know, just general, like, oh, we won't stand for racism. Well, it's like when you read it, it sounds like somebody's like, oh, somebody's just like,
Yeah,
oh,
but you
forced
kind
to
of
do
going,
this.
you kind of going, duh, yeah, that's what you're supposed to say. Like you
Right.
shouldn't have to change the entire homepage on your website just because there's this thing going on, and you know that
Yeah,
people are
but
going to go and click.
I don't want to like get into this whole. I get where you're coming from, but I don't want to fault some like.
No,
It's
I
almost
don't
like I
know.
don't want to fault somebody for an attempt to do something right. Like it's like you some could have worded it better, or they could have timed something better, but it's I look at if we're really focusing on like actions and that's what where we really want. I can't fault somebody for taking some kind of action. You could have easily stayed silent and your business could have just been the normal anything,
Sure.
instead of thinking the worst, like, oh, they just did it for sales or something. Like at least you did something, and it's a positive thing that you did.
So you don't
So I
care
can't I
about the
can't I can't
attention.
I don't care about the intent as long as I care more about the action.
Okay, but the action could be, yeah. Let's put a statement on our homepage. We stand with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but I rather that statement be there than not be there. You get what I'm saying? I'd rather
Sure.
have that action than and you still have that evil intent, like, oh, it's just gonna be for sales or whatever. Like regardless of your intent, the actions there, and at least my message got across. Like,
Well, there could
But
still
what
be
does it do?
power behind it.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. So
yeah,
Well, let me take the
concretely,
NFL.
Hmm?
Take the NFL for example. I mean, like Roger Goodell came out in support and literally said, "We got it wrong." Like just
that's
flat out just said, "Hey, we
yes.
got it wrong." When I don't know if he said Colin Kaepernick, but he was the one who kind of started this whole kneeling thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't say his name,
and
but he brought up
he didn't
like
say his name. He brought it up and flat out said, like, "We got it wrong." Like, and that was huge. And some of
That's
the
huge.
stuff that I've been seeing, like I follow a lot of Cowboys stuff. So I'm a Cowboys fan, and I saw a report on one of the Cowboys pages that I follow saying that there are reports saying that when the season starts, there will be NFL players that will kneel during the anthem. And the comments that I was seeing from other Cowboys fans, right,
Mm-hmm.
were some of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And talking about like, oh, if I see one Cowboys player kneel, like I'm gonna stop watching the Cowboys. They're not my team anymore. Or I'm gonna stop watching NFL. I'm sitting there thinking like, these people that are saying these kind of to me, horrible things are the reason why the NFL got it wrong in the first place, because they pandered to those people
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat and saying, yeah, like we support the military and the flag and the country and blah, 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 because those fans, those are the people that are fanning that flame of like, well, I'm not going to, they just rah, 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 getting all uptight and stuff. I'm like, that is more that is the example of what not being patriotic is, to completely belittle or say that you're going to be pissed off or not watch for somebody doing what they're constitutionally able to do, like what you're complaining about and what you're gonna protest and not watch is more un-American than what you are mad about. So
yes,
it
100%.
it bothered me to
100.
no end.
You hit it exactly like 100%. And I'm
It
just
bothered
like,
me to no
and
end.
it's one of those things. Is like I was like, are we the are we in this are the only ones that could see this? How I was like, how does the other side not see this? Like how do you not
Now,
realize
how
that's what
do
you're doing?
how
Like,
do white people who go see black people play clap all day? That's my team. That's my team. And as soon as this issue comes up, they're like, "Well, fuck! Now they got to kneel. I'm not part of it anymore."
yeah.
I can't picture a racist going to an NBA game.
It's a lot of
Or an NFL
empty.
game.
When people like want to take this like grandstand kind of like stance and like complain about something like that, it's like an it's just empty threats, not empty threats. Like the same way when a president gets elected and that they don't like, and they're like, I'm gonna leave the country. Nobody ever leaves the country. And they're like,
I'm going to
that's the same. That was
Yeah.
the same thing with the color camera. Like, if these players kneel, I'm not watching again. And then the next week, the ratings are exactly the same. It's like, because they're in your fantasy football team, you have to watch. Like, your fantasy points depend on this. Like, you're not. It's like you can huff and pout all you want, but it's what it is. Like,
but I will say, going back to the point of at least people are saying something. I mean, like watching the commissioner of a multi-billion-dollar industry saying flat out, just we got it wrong. And now, like, and saying like, hey, we got it wrong. We're gonna try and do everything we can to move forward together.
That
like, but it's just it's, to me, like, my brain is just fixated on just the people, and it's not just white people. I mean, I'm seeing like Hispanic people. I'm seeing like, I mean, Cowboys fans are just all kinds of colors, but it's crazy. Like some of the comments that you would see, it's just like, dude, like I wanted to go on this rant so bad, and I typed out one like I was talking about earlier. I was like, man, you know what? You guys are the most unpatriotic, blah 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 blah. Like, because down to the core, like, you were not letting somebody do what they're legally or constitutionally able to do. Yeah. Just like you're doing against what they're doing. Like, it's just I don't know. It bothered me.
You know who got suckered the most out of that too is Drew Brees.
Oh, this fucker.
For trying to, like, when he came out with his statement on the Yahoo interview, and he said like, I'll
Yahoo
never
Finance. By the way, I don't even know why they're asking him about that.
But it's just like, I'll never agree with kneeling for the national anthem because like my grandfathers were in the military. And
well, so he didn't say about the kneeling. He said that I will never respect anybody that disrespects the flag, the anthem, or the troops. Like, it wasn't specifically about people kneeling. Okay. And I don't think the question was worded that way. It was worded about like, what would you
double down though?
What do you feel about, it wasn't, the kneeling thing wasn't a part of the question or the answer.
He said it was a disrespecting the flag.
Yeah.
But he was like relating it, the kneeling, back to the military again, which it wasn't ever about. He told you it was about police brutality. The guy that told him to kneel was a military vet, like, that told him to kneel. That's the most respectful way to protest. And the fact that you're still you bring this back up again is just. But he, in my eyes, I feel like this is a thing that I feel like some people that are conservative that were wrong. They feel like because they said this statement initially, that they can never go back on it. They feel like they have to like ride or die with that statement. But Drew Brees realized he did a wrong thing. And then he came back and he apologized for it. And then when the president asked him to kind of like, commend him for it, he shut the president down. He's like, dear president, he wrote a letter back to Trump saying, no, I do not agree with that stance anymore. Like, they're really fighting for police brutality. And I commend him. It was like, he took what was a bad kind of statement. And he came back from it like, with a positive outlook. And I see a lot of like, I'll say conservative people do this where they feel like, I've been this like Trump supporter, or I've been on this stance for so long, like I can't ever, like, you'll always look at me like I'm a racist. I can't ever recover from this. Like, you can recover from this. This is not like racist. It's not like you lost a limb or something. You can come back and redeem yourself. Just acknowledge what you did is wrong. And that's it. I don't know why it's so difficult. People feel like they have to ride or die with their statement or with their president.
I think it's fear.
Yeah, you know who did it right? Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah,
Ben and Jerry's had a great statement.
But yeah, Ben and Jerry's started tweeting all kinds of statistics of why we are where we are today in terms of the systemic racism and everything. And those fuckers went out and got arrested at a Black Lives Matter protest. and they dropped a new ice cream flavor.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, this is how you do it right.
Multitasking.
This is how you do it.
Yeah. So quick little bit. I don't know if you ever watched Jeff Goldblum's documentary series on Disney Plus, but he actually goes to see the guys from Ben and Jerry's. One of the guys actually cannot taste. Like he has like poor taste. So that's why like if you taste Ben and Jerry's ice creams, like they're full of like super flavor because they had to keep adding more for him to be able to taste it.
Oh, I know that.
Anyway,
Yeah, but those guys are hippies. They're like they're against
They
the
are.
Vietnam War, and so like, yeah, that's how you do it right. You don't just. That's the thing. So to your point, what Roger Goodell did. That's action, saying, "Hey, we were wrong." I can acknowledge that. So, and what Drew Brees did, same thing after, once he walked back his statement, but just going, oh yeah, we're just gonna put a message on our website, or we're just gonna do it because, well, I'm the CEO of a company, and then this is the thing right now, so I have to address this.
I think
Except for Starbucks fucked up though. I saw this today.
Oh yeah, I think it goes back to sustainability of that action. Are they saying it once in a lazy way because they are worried that they'll be called out if they don't? Because if they do, even if that's the case, they're going to get called out by people who are really in it, who are really paying attention to this.
Yeah.
But and of course you want to see like long-term actual action taken, like Ben and Jerry's actually giving money and having a plan to continue to do that. And the NFL backtracking. But I feel like it still does matter because I just think of the Hearts and Minds campaign and this whole idea, like what you're saying, like people do lock themselves into something, but the past 2 weeks has been a bigger change in public opinion on BLM than the past 2 years. And if even if it's a hollow statement from a corporation, if you're an American in middle America, say a white American who's not paying attention, and every single website and piece of media you consume is telling you to worry about this and to be engaged, you're probably more likely to, even if it's coming from a hollow place.
So
I think it's a net gain, even if you can incentivize capitalism to do responsible things, then why not have responsible things, but still just, make them keep doing it, make them keep giving money, not just saying something once.
So let's bring it full circle. So do we forgive Aaron Paul for going, I take responsibility?
I just think
that's what that is.
I don't know if anyone in that video needs forgiveness. They just need to be made fun of really badly for a few months. And then
but the thing with Aaron Paul, though, I mean, look how he became famous, though. Like, it's just kind of like.
It's not just him. There's a bunch of other. Let me see if
I
can.
I know, but I'm saying, I don't know.
Not again.
Hey, I got something in our chat.
Yeah,
Kenzie wanted to bring up the CrossFit founder. Did y'all follow that story?
Greg Glassman. Yeah, so yeah, I actually do because fitness is one of the things that I enjoy. So, so Greg Glassman, the guy who founded CrossFit, the functional training, that's one of it's for the last better part of 2 decades has been, if you want to call it.
It is a fucking cult. I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah.
You'll do CrossFit? No, I have a life to live.
Sometimes in my workouts I die a little bit, but anyway, so Greg Glassman had he had got under fire for some controversial tweets that were put out there. I guess somebody had put out a post.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Oh, Alex, do you mute yourself?
Alex, you muted yourself. Try again. No, can't hear you.
What the heck do you do?
Do you have your headphones in your laptop or something connected to your laptop?
Dang.
Oh, this. Well, here.
Wait, did it just come back?
Nope. No, can't hear you. Wait, hold on. Nope.
Oh,
technical difficulties.
It's a targeted hack from CrossFit trying to prevent us from
talking
talking
about
shit.
CrossFit and then
CrossFit just muted you.
Yep. That's what happened. That's that cult, man.
Can I say one quick thing
how
about
about that? Can y'all hear me
Yeah,
now?
there you are.
Okay, here we go.
You're back.
Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I just want to say, about anyone walking it back, and I think I haven't followed the CrossFit story, but I imagine that's what it is someone said something shitty and then learned not to say that thing. I feel like with some of that, yes, there should be pathways back. Yes, there should always be a pathway back from that fearful, macho dude who can't admit he's wrong. He should have a path towards being welcomed in, as long as he atones and
You'll be fine.
as long, you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you admit you were wrong. However, I do think that people show you who they are in those moments the first time out. And I don't think it's wrong for people to distrust them moving forward and to say, you acted like a dick, so I need some time away from you. You need to prove that your mind was really changed through action.
Oh, we'll cancel you.
Just like with any, well, I don't know what happened with this guy. I'm just saying with any relationship, if someone's coming out, like Drew Brees, for example, he should have a pathway back if he's going to atone. But it's okay for the world to say, we don't really want to talk to you for a while because you acted like a dick, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because initially with his comments, I was like, well, of course a kid from Westlake is going to say some shit like that. That was my initial, when Drew Brees said what he said, I'm like, of course a dude from Austin Westlake is going to say something like that, because that's pretty much
tone
the
deaf.
vibe I've always gotten from Austin Westlake.
And it gets to what you were saying earlier is, what's the deeper issue?
Alex, right. He's so petty. Austin Westlake.
No, say it, man.
Hey, I mean, it's just,
But where does that come from? The Westlake mentality, why? That's the thing you were saying earlier, is the deeper issue. What is it that makes you hear Westlake and be like, oh, of course he feels of course he feels that way because he's from here. That's the thing to address, is why are affluent white people in Westlake, why do we expect them to say shitty things?
They're not.
I've had some run-ins, so
no, I don't mean that's. I'm not putting that on you. I'm not saying it's your fault for having a bias against Westlake. I'm saying no, there's a reason there, and it's because they're an isolated, wealthy white community. They're not addressing things, and if they say something dumb, they can be educated, but it doesn't mean everyone has to pat them on the back for saying the decent thing for once. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was my initial reaction, but at the same time, I was like, well, I mean, he didn't say anything about protesting or kneeling or anything like that. He just straight up went in this whole, monologue of his grandparents and his great grandfather and fighting in the war, which, we've talked about, in past, meetings where that was the thing that bothered me most about his statement was, he didn't serve, but yet he's using family members that did serve as a cloak for him to be able to say whatever the hell he wants to say. As that's his cloak of patriotism, of I could say whatever I want to say because I have this huge platform and my grandparents served in war wars, blah 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 blah. To me that bothered me the most of it, because it's just there are a lot of people that I come across that do that. That use a family member's service as a cloak of being able to say whatever they want because, they feel like they can speak for all of us, which for me, whenever I see people do that, when they do this whole blanket statement of veterans don't do that, blah, blah, blah. Nah, dude, I don't agree with that. So
I grew up around a lot of, I grew up in Iowa around a lot of white people in the country who clung to the flag, the military, as cloaks, like you're saying, justifications for a shitty point of view. And it's like you were saying earlier, they're not as patriotic as the people, because what is America? It's not a flag. It's not the military. It's the people,
Yeah.
So if you can't get behind the American people, then don't pretend to be a patriot because you don't like your flag being disrespected. Yeah, right, that's I didn't mean to walk over you, Alex, because I know you wanted to talk on
the we discussed it last week.
Yeah. I think I'm just bringing it up because Adam wasn't here, so just kind of
taking it back to
I want I want to
reading
read
what
up.
Kenzie. Are you gonna bring it up? Or
No, I was going to bring up what Starbucks did.
Okay.
So Starbucks said that wearing clothing and accessories highlighting Black Lives Matter could be misunderstood and potentially incite violence. That was the memo. And like, yeah, we support, Black Lives Matter.
Was that a memo to their employees?
Yes, to their employees. Yeah,
Okay.
and because they said that
cowardice, right?
they forbid the employees to advocate any political and religious or personal issue, but yet they allow LGBTQ people to wear shirts and pins and all that. Like June is Pride Month, so they allow that, but you can't wear. I mean, it's like they're saying, yeah, it's Black Lives Matter, so you're gonna show up to Starbucks with a dashiki instead of wearing the black clothes that you're supposed to wear.
Mm.
And so
Yeah, it's just
people, there was a huge like boycott Starbucks hashtag.
But another one, another hashtag boycott Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean, every day you get up on Twitter, there's a fill in the blank is over, that's trending, and there's a boycott something, and there's a cancel something every day.
Hey, I will. Can I just? I want to tell you about regarding Starbucks. I had to look it up to make sure I had the right coffee shop here. But here's for the Starbucks thing. Fuck Starbucks. Their Thunderbird Coffee in Austin is a black-owned business. You can go there.
There you go.
Oh, wow. I love that place off of
Manor.
Is it Manor Road? Okay.
Yeah. Also, looks like Kenzie, I'm sorry, in the chat said that the CrossFit guy said, why should we mourn? Based on these things, he said, why should we mourn George Floyd's death? We're not mourning for him. See, like that's much different to me than, the military. It's like, fuck that guy.
That's a shitty ass thing. Like, I have
Yeah, because somebody had posted up a photo, like a screenshot of like from the Institute of Health and Metrics and Evaluation about the pandemic or something like that, and his first tweet was, in response to it, it's Floyd-19.
Oh, like COVID-19?
Right. That was his first. That was his initial.
Was he trying to be funny?
He was trying. Yes, I mean with that kind of tweet, he was trying to be funny. But I think there was a following tweet that I was trying to find.
Is the guy known to be funny? Because I mean,
anyway, I don't know the guy personally, and I don't want to say anything. But anyway, the follow up tweet what I was trying to find just wasn't good at all. So then the fallout from that was CrossFit gyms across the country just started de-affiliating with CrossFit because, for these gyms to operate and they want to operate under this CrossFit umbrella, they have to pay an affiliation fee, yada, yada, yada.
Really?
Anyway,
wow.
Just gyms all over the place to stop. They ended their affiliation with CrossFit. Reebok pulled their sponsor. They pulled out from sponsoring CrossFit. You have prominent CrossFit athletes that have, champions of the games and stuff like that are all just upset, of what he said and coming out.
Because that statement is it's a pretty bad statement, because I think the other side that doesn't want to support the Black Lives Matter movement, they feel like what the first thing they want to go to is whoever the victim was, they want to go through their whole personal life history and they want to have a verdict if that person lived a good life or was a perfect citizen. And if they weren't, then they deserve what just happened to them. But no, that's not the issue. We're not here because the whole nation had a personal relationship to George Floyd. Like, we didn't all know. It's the action that they killed him in. Like, it's just it could, because that could have, like, George Floyd just happened to, he pulled the short straw and he happened to come in contact with the police at that moment. But that action shouldn't have happened to a single person. Nobody deserves to, like, have 3 cops sit on your body and you just, like, have the air just pretty much choked out of you and nobody step in, and then to have those guys go back to their lives right after that, like, and feel like they got away with murdering somebody. For what? Like, it's just that's why we're mourning it. It's just like it's uncalled for. It's just murder, and we need justice for him, and we want stuff to change. We don't want this to ever happen to you, back to me, to Alex, to Adam. We don't want it to happen to anyone. Period. But it just so we it's like Black Lives. It just so happens that this keeps happening a majority of the time to Black people. Like, it just I don't know how else to explain it to people. Like, and this guy, because I see people do this with like some of the other people that have died in the past, like, oh, this guy he had a criminal record, but I mean, he might have a criminal record, but at that moment,
he's just a human being.
He was just a human. He didn't do anything wrong to get killed in that moment. You think because he had this past, like, I don't have a perfect history. I don't have a criminal record, but I didn't live a perfect life. Does that mean I deserve to get killed by police? Like, it's a silly thing.
That's that framing from the media period is white supremacy, and it is exactly like what y'all have been saying about what are the deeper things that have to be changed. But even that, like, I fucking hate when people say anything about someone's criminal record or if they had weed in their system, because what that person is saying, if they're saying, well, you know, he like the New York Times said, what was it? I think the New York Times said of Mike Brown, he was no angel in his obit. Like, so when I read someone saying what you're saying, Obi, of like, he shoplifted 5 minutes before he was, you know, killed by the police. He shoplifted. Say the person saying is they believe that being executed on the spot. If I froze, I feel like what that person is saying is that their belief is that you deserve to be executed on the spot by the justice system for shoplifting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's like almost like a modern day code of Hammurabi kind of thing. Like, if you steal, they're gonna take off an arm or something.
Or fucking Judge Dredd's like, it's not like, the criminal background. Fuck that. That is how, if you kill someone or hurt someone and you go to trial and then you get capital punishment from the state, that is, and I think we should abolish the death penalty too, but that is being killed by the state. You should not, like, I fucking hate that argument. And it is always, it's always white dudes who are afraid someone's going to steal. Like, I'm talking about like white boomer guys who are afraid someone's going to steal an Amazon package off their doorstep, who are suddenly ready to get strapped and loaded for a war to defend their measuring cups they ordered.
It's always like the go-to statement, well, like, hey, if you don't want to get killed by the police, don't do stuff that's wrong. Illegal. Like, and then when they bring up some people that did absolutely nothing, like, oh, well, Ahmaud Arbery, he was jogging, is that illegal? Breonna Taylor, she was sleeping, is that illegal? Like, they were like, well, they have no statement to come back with that. But it does, but I don't even look at that as like the answer back, like, because that it doesn't matter what they did, like what their history was. The action that they did in that moment did not require them getting killed. Like, it's plain and simple.
It doesn't matter who it was, really.
Yeah, and the people who say you shouldn't do anything wrong, though, they're also like, they've done things wrong. They've shoplifted. They've committed crimes. It's that whole. I saw someone the other day say conservatism is insisting that the law serve you or protect you while enforcing others. And man, I'm going to butcher it, but it was basically the idea that, like, white conservatism is the idea that the law exists to keep others in line and keep you protected, but never the reverse, never to keep you in line and to protect others.
There was these two guys, there was a Black Lives Matter protest. There was two guys that were, you see the protest was walking down the street and they were in the yard, white guys, and they did the I hate to say it.
Yeah, he did the kneeling on the guy's
kneeling on
neck.
the head thing, and the other guy was just standing there like, if you're you have to comply with police, otherwise this shit wouldn't happen. You have to comply with police. You have to do what they tell you to do.
Did you see that on Jizza's Instagram?
Who?
I saw. It's funny because I saw that same clip because Jizza shared it on his Instagram earlier today.
Yeah, and they got fired. One of them was a correctional officer. The other one worked for.
It's a correctional officer.
He worked for FedEx. The other one
FedEx,
got,
yeah.
But yeah, the correctional officer was just like, you shouldn't. You should not be in this job to begin with.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it's just, oh man. But kudos to them for taking action, like removing those guys.
Yeah, going back to the CrossFit guy, he did resign.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, so when it comes to CrossFit, I can't just start a CrossFit. I have to pay this guy to start my own CrossFit thing because of the name CrossFit?
So it's weird. It's a weird thing. But
it's a cult, I'm telling you.
So it's the whole thing about being affiliated with CrossFit. CrossFit's this corporate entity that runs this industry for the most part of this thing, which for the most part became more about like the games, kind of like the Olympics, so to speak, of fitness. It's since kind of gotten away from that. It's gotten more I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway, so for gyms that, it's more of just kind of like a badge of honor of like, oh, we're CrossFit affiliated. Like, you're going to get absolutely nothing more than when a gym that's not a CrossFit affiliated. We just have the name, so, but yeah, it's like a license to be able to but you don't have to have
to act like you're better than everybody else.
I guess so.
Jack hates CrossFit.
No, don't get me wrong. One of my best friends is really into it, and it's been like trying to get me to do that. I'm like, look, man, I can just do push-ups. Look, I don't need to.
So look at it this.
The Olympics.
Look at it this way, because I used to be a personal trainer. It's functional fitness. It's training you to just be functionally fit, like to be able to squat, to be able to run, to be able to move. Because we only have a finite amount of time in our lives to where we can move, or build muscle, because if we get to a point where that just doesn't happen anymore, and you see, most people that I know that don't move, it's a detriment, not just to your physical body, but to everything else just breaks down. So, just if you look at it as this is just going to prepare you just to be able to move now and later in life, you might look at it a little differently. You don't have to lift like 150 pounds as fast as you can and consider that cardio.
I'm sure there are great benefits. My boy is like, we grew up together and back in France, and back then he was, on the bigger side. Now he's like shredded. I'm like, good for you. If it works, it works. But don't try to get me into this.
Well, just like anything else, there are extremes. There are people that take it to an extreme. Like you can watch any CrossFit documentary, and some of the training that these guys go through. Granted, this is their job. Mm-hmm. This is all they do with their lives. Like I do it, but I don't do it to that level. Like these guys.
You have a CrossFit logo on your right butt cheek that was branded when you first joined?
No.
I'm just kidding. It's all right. It's all right.
No, I will not get anything like that tattooed on me. More Star Wars tattoos.
You have the best Star Wars tattoo I've ever seen, by the way. I just remembered it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
so
see if
good.
I can. Hold on.
So good.
You see it?
For those of y'all in the chat, you know what that is?
Oh yeah. That's what Luke shot at. Isn't it?
So it's so if you remember from Empire Strikes Back, when the bomb drops, that Vader tells Luke that he's his dad. Well, anyway, they have that sword fight. They have a lightsaber fight. Anyway, Vader cuts his right hand off.
Uh-huh.
And after that scene, whenever he escapes, there's a part where he's getting a new mechanical hand. And in the scene, there's like a kind of like a door open, and he's sitting there getting his hand tested. And there's the mechanics of the open port in his hand. The next one I want to get, if you watch Return of the Jedi, and I'll end here, he gets shot in the back of the hand in Return of the Jedi, and then whenever he's going back to Dagobah to see Yoda before he dies, he's putting on a glove, and you can see the blast hole, and there's more mechanics underneath that. That might be the next tattoo. I got to clear it with the fiance first, but
I told you I
That's
would
what
add.
but I think I might just do it.
Just do it. What's she gonna
just
do?
to,
Take
just
it
to
off?
complete it. Just to complete it.
Is she listening? Unless she was in the
I
chat.
think I think I saw her on here earlier.
Yeah. Candace, it's happening. It is. Can't stop a man. Keep a man from Star Wars.
It'll probably have to be after the wedding. We got that to take care of first.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. It's been an hour and a half. I'm trying to keep these not too long. We did 2 hours twice before, but yeah, this was fun. This was fun.
Yeah,
Flew by for being 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, right?
I mean,
I didn't
know
realize it was that.
we could keep going, and
Hey, by this time next week, there'll be a whole another slew of shit that happens.
Right. That's true.
can't escape it.
Yeah. Nah, but you know what though? I'm glad Adam's on here though, because we talked about this. Like I kind of brought it up in our private chat. Like it is good to have somebody that's not part of this minority thing that the focus is so on, and to get a different perspective.
Yeah,
from somebody that is white. That. I mean, you could totally bring your perspective of like you could have a different perspective of what you have right now, but it'd be welcomed. Because that's. I think the more perspective we have from all walks is just going to be, I think that's what we talked about it last week. Like that's what's going to help us move forward. Like I was talking like Candace, the other, like last week, she has a couple of black friends that she hadn't known how to talk to or reach out to. And she just ripped off the Band-Aid and just reached out and said, hey, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what's going on, but I want to know that I could talk to you, or if you need something, and I'm not sure what the conversation went after that, but I mean, that's progress, and that's what we need. Like, my fiance, she's white, and she's reaching out to her black friends,
Yeah, that's
just to get an understanding, whether she will agree with it or know what to do or how to do it. Like, but that simple gesture of reaching out to understand, and if it ends there, it's fine. But that's huge, and I think more of that needs to happen. But having Adam here, that's another step in the right direction as well.
We'll try to get a girl next time, so it's not a
I feel like just a bunch of conversations is just progress like that. And I realized I'm in another like group chat like on my phone with, and I'm the only black guy in it, the rest are white, and I noticed that we were all kind of tiptoeing around what was happening, and then when we finally all talked about it, and it came out, I was like, well, we didn't know if, like, we didn't want to bring it up, and we didn't know how sensitive you were to the issue, but we wanted to talk about it, but we were waiting for you to bring it up. But me, I was like waiting for them to bring it up, because I'm like, I don't want to come off as like the token black guy that feels like he's always talking about race all the time or something. But we would have never known that if the conversation just has to start at some point, and then you can kind of go through all the emotions and what you feel and what you think, and it's progress all around. I feel like that's how community grows.
I'll admit that I don't bring it up. If someone asks me, I'll answer, but I'm not. It's not my job to bring it up. I mean, even at work, like I'm not gonna talk about this or go on Slack and start posting. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives. I'm not gonna do that. But if someone brings it up, I'll be happy to have that conversation.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
Well, first of all, happy to be the token white guy for this. What up? Second of all, so I feel like white people right now need to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And I feel like white people are nervous to talk about race. White people are nervous to talk about race with their black acquaintances and friends. But it's not like I would, and I don't mean to speak, I don't want to speak for y'all as a white guy. I don't want to speak for y'all here, but I will say that I would imagine that as a black person, you don't forget that you don't forget about race issues. You don't forget that America is a terrible place to be black. And when white people pretend it's not a thing because they're nervous, I kind of see that as a different form of racism from white people, because they're afraid It's like they're being afraid of black people. Maybe not in a traditional, oh, I'm a racist, I think black people are going to hurt me way. But I think they are afraid, like, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I offend them? What if they get mad at me? That's still being afraid of black people. And black people aren't forgetting, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak for y'all, but I feel like black people aren't forgetting that America is terrible to black people, and that white people can just step it up and acknowledge that, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. Have the conversation.
I 100% agree. 100%.
Yes.
Cool.
Couple of things. If you're not familiar with, maybe I brought it up last time, I don't remember. If you're not familiar with Jane Elliott's work, Google her and watch her experiment that she did. Did I bring it up last time?
Who is it again?
Jane Elliott.
Okay.
Jane Elliott is a former third grade teacher who did an experiment back in the 80s, late 80s, I think.
I think you touched on it before. But...
Where she took her third grade class and divided her class between the blue-eyed kids and the non-blue-eyed kids.
Right. I've heard about this.
And she treated the blue-eyed kids like shit so they could realize, look, this is what it's like. You have something about your body that you have no control over. You were born this way, right? And just because of that, you're getting treated like shit. And she did another version of that experiment with adults, where she, like, people, it was volunteers, all volunteers. So they came in, they signed in, and they were like, okay, you have blue eyes, you go over there and shut the fuck up you go against the wall. You have non-blue eyes, then you go sit down, have some cookies and all that stuff. And it's fascinating to watch, because it really helped people, especially white people, put things in perspective when you're like, yo, this is not fair. And then there's that one video that went viral where she asked to a room of white people, if you could right now, if you want to be treated like black people are right now, raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand. And then she goes, well, that means you know the problem, you know there's a problem, you don't want it for yourself, and yet you're not willing to do anything about it. Why is that? So go Google her. She's still alive. She's like in her 80s, and she's been interviewed a lot. She's done all kinds of interviews, but you can watch the whole experiment on YouTube.
Yeah,
like
I've watched it before.
Fascinating, and it really, the goal is to make you feel uncomfortable about the issue of race and really put things in perspective. So you're like, oh yeah, shit, that's really what's happening. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much. People in the chat, people who are watching. If you don't follow the FeedBak podcast, do so. Thank you, Obi, as always.
Thank you, guys.
Please stay alive.
Thank everyone in the chat.
Careful.
And Kenzie has one last recommendation for everyone to watch, The 13th on Netflix. It's a good documentary.
Add that to the list. Alex, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Adam, thank you.
Thank you. Good to be here. See y'all soon.
And catch y'all next Thursday. Same time, 9 o'clock. Ciao.
Peace. All righty.